Listen!
Talk a little bit about the new Nintendo 2DS XL, which was announced last week, and I went hands-on it, and we're going to get into that. But first, I do want to just point out, we've gone over our initial reactions already. You can find that video on youtube.com/IGN or on youtube.com/Nintendo Voice Chat. But I want to focus a little bit on the future here. So this is a 2DS XL, basically the internals of a new 3DS XL, but with 2DS branding, no 3D, an AC adapter included. Hence for $150. Right. Yeah, the branding scenario on 2DS, 3DS has always been a train wreck to me, but it has still thrived, still surpassing, 60 million units lifetime.
Yep.
But here's the thing. So you did a nice job.
Yeah. I think it's more like 75 million.
Yeah. Oh, is it? I thought it was like closer to 66. But I do think that the focus here being that Nintendo, dropping new hardware. Now, this was something you kind of called last week because we were talking about Nintendo. Pear, I'm looking straight at you. Nintendo said on their financials they would sell 6 million more 3DSs. And you raised the question, how are you going to do that without new hardware? Well,
refresh it,
yeah. They went ahead and did.
They did it differently. I thought they would shrink. I thought they would present a smaller screen model just to make it look very different from the Switch. But they went lighter kind of on the price side.
Yep.
Which is obviously
totally
awesome.
Makes sense, yeah.
But, so this seems aimed at the customer who either didn't get a 3DS or who is young and you want to get them something that isn't a $300 device. And I think that's a smart play.
Yeah.
But how can what's Nintendo's plan long term? What do we think here this means for the future? So far, we know they've said they will be publishing 3DS games in 2018 is one of the things they're saying.
Yeah. I mean, I have a viewpoint on it. They're making it very clear that there will be a kind of a cheaper way to play Nintendo games. There's also a free way to play Nintendo games on your mobile phone. And then there's the more expensive way to play it. And I think the setup now very closely mirrors the setup of the iPad, for example, where there are all these different tiers up to an iPad Pro, which is ginormous, and a smaller size version, and entry level, and all these different configurations. And I think they basically decided the market can handle it. They're not going to be confused by having the wedge-shaped 2DS and the more expensive 3DS.
Yeah,
and so they're presenting all these
that doorstop shape too.
Yeah,
that's
So they know
$79.99.
Yeah, that's a true entry level for kids, right? But I think where we'll shake out is that the Switch may get upgraded in a couple of years with a similarly priced, expensive model, maybe with more oomph in it. And I think they'll iterate on the DSs, and I do think they'll eventually go smaller.
But a big reason this 2DS, 3DS push will exist too is that Switch is not backwards compatible. It has nothing to do with your 3DS.
Yeah.
Which bugs me. Because I've moved on, I get going for a younger market, but I'd rather play everything on my Switch going forward. So
sure.
Hopefully later this year when they do announce their virtual console eShop for the Switch, I'd love to see a lot of these 3DS games as they're being released, just, put them up, make them available for download on my Switch as well.
Have you gone back to 3DS since?
I have not picked it up since I got the Switch. No.
Yeah, it's honestly, I find it a little bit difficult. I find it kind of tough to go back to 3DS now. Yeah. I went back and finished Yoshi's Woolly World recently, and it was one of those things where it's I just sort of felt like a chore to kind of go back to that little system that I loved for so long, but now I have this thing, and it's well...
Yeah, the portability factor just kind of makes you want to take the new hot thing on the road, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I had the same with Box Boy, where I was hoping there's really no reason for a two-screen setup for that game, where it's there are a lot of 3DS games where you kind of need that double screen, and you can't easily transfer it to this thing without some crazy creative solutions.
The hurdle, Damon,
right?
3DS software.
That is a good point. That is a good point.
Sort of make it over. I will say though that they're making some careful choices here. When you think back, and I don't know if the thinking even was on their minds back when this happened, but look at Yoshi's Woolly World and how that got turned into a 3DS game. That could have been a Switch port.
Yeah.
Instead, they said, no, let's put that on 3DS because that is the kid market. That's the market we want to sort of reach.
Maybe that's a little too close for home though, or too close to home, because it's one of the big criticisms against the Switch is that it's already sort of a port machine from Wii U, and that game, Yoshi's Woolly World, I feel just came out a year or so ago.
It feels like it's roughly a year and a half, but I would say definitely. But I still think that they've been sort of drawing the line on choices and going, okay, well, where are we going to put which one? And something like Mario Kart 8 clearly makes sense as a Switch game. But I think that in order for this hardware to thrive, if you're really trying to sell 6 million units this year, you've got to have a killer game this year for 3DS. And it's no secret then that I feel that at E3, there will come a big announcement for something. There has to be. Last year's spike on 3DS in their financials was mostly driven by a little Pika Pika called Pikachu and Pokemon Sun and Moon.
Right.
Also, it was an anniversary year for Pokemon, so the brand had a ton of awareness. You had the virtual console games that came out early in the year. You had Go, which was one of the biggest social phenomenons that ever happened in a video game. And then you had Sun and Moon, which was a quality Pokemon upgrade. I almost wonder if there's a Pokemon game coming or something that we just don't have any clue to be thinking about.
I think you're right. I mean, I think this year will be capped by a Mario game, and Mario Kart and Mario are the two most powerful franchises that you can put on a Nintendo console, and Pokemon is the obvious answer, right? Like full-fledged Pokemon game, maybe a little early, right? But
Unless
they
it's
will.
the third part of Sun and Moon.
Yeah,
and
that's what I was
not
gonna
a
say.
Switch game.
Yeah.
I would just wonder, like, what is that?
We've heard that rumor so often that it wouldn't surprise me at all if it came to both. You know, like people want it so badly for the Switch, it would behoove Nintendo to put it there and on the 3DS.
Yeah, well, and if it doesn't come for both, I think that's when the fans kind of riot in the streets, right? Because if Pokemon is that title, let's just say
It's just a video game.
no, but yeah, but there'll be the change.org petition within minutes, like we saw with Metroid, for example.
Sure.
Because some folks are really attached and want a Pokemon experience on Switch, even if it means a port experience.
About
And I feel
Pokemon
like
Snap on Switch.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
By the way, Jose, when you look at the 2DS XL,
Yeah.
you know, obviously it's very close in design to a classic like 3DS XL, but the color scheme, they're really embracing those like bright neon colors, huh?
Yeah,
like
turquoise
the
and black.
Switch.
Yeah, available in white and orange in like Europe and Japan.
But that it's almost like Splatoon colors now. Like they really embrace like this like crazy soda pop like.
Yeah, well, I mean, it reminds me of
color
like the
scheme.
purple Game Boy Color. It reminds me of like I feel like throughout their history they've just gone for wild and weird sometimes. And you're like, man, there were 3DSs, for example, that I think there was like a green and an orange that I was like, oh man, like I wish they were released in Japan, if I'm remembering right.
Remember when they put
Orange GameCube too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, remember when they put a purple cube in your living room? That was bizarre.
Yeah,
But like these colors now are like they're bright.
Yeah.
You know, they're not just colorful. They're
Well, the
like,
funniest thing about like
glow in
the
the
colors
dark.
on the Switch, the funniest thing to me about the colors on the Switch is like I ordered the basic Switch unit, the gray,
gray
controllers,
old man
because, like,
one, yeah.
yeah, because that's the like to me, I was like, well, I want my console to look sleek. I want it to like feel like a piece of tech. But then I see these configurations and
blend
it's like,
in better than I do.
yeah, I
though.
guess so.
you
but,
laughing
like,
at us?
No, I want the double blue so bad.
Oh,
Like, that
double
looks
blue
awesome.
is great.
Yeah.
But
very
soon
cool.
there'll be yellow. We can do red and
Yeah,
yellow.
Joy-Con would be really cool. I guess we'll end on that point with this part of the discussion. I think that E3 is going to be some major surprises. Hopefully, like obviously Switch already has a full schedule out and there are going to be surprises on that front, but do not be shocked if at E3 this year, Nintendo drops a bomb on 3DS that none of us saw coming because they're going to be aggressive for the holiday and push this 2DS brand. If they don't, then that's weird because you're refreshing hardware without killer software. That's strange to me. That just feels very un-Nintendo.
And there's no cheap gaming hardware in the market, right? Like at traditional games retailers, like the DS now, the 3DS line is going to be unique. There's no Vita, there's no, nothing really in the market to distract from it. And so it's kind of like this cool gaming device you can get for your kids if they're not ready for an iPhone either.
Yep. Hey everyone, Jose Otero here for IGN, and that was just a preview of our conversation about new Nintendo 2DS XL. If you want to see more of that conversation, head on over to youtube.com/Nintendo Voice Chat. You can check out the full episode there. You can subscribe and get an episode every week, or you can check out on IGN's YouTube channel our full hands-on preview of new Nintendo 2DS XL. Thanks a lot. See you next week.